But when I got to singing, I was like, oh, I want to sing. Like, I really want to sing. And I always tell this funny story because I actually could not sing. I was not a good singer. I was not a good singer. And I asked my mom one day, I said, can I sing? Like, what do you think? And she was like, sorry, I love you, but no.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of PsychoActivision Presents. I am your host, Peter Strickland, and we've got another great interview for you today. Before we get started, I did want to ask you that if you're watching on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe to our PsychoActivision YouTube channel. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, then please rate and review us. We'd really appreciate it. You can also follow us on Instagram at PsychoActivision. For today's episode, I've got a good friend of mine from college. She has an eclectic background in music, and I'm really excited to talk to her today. Ebony Strong.
Hey, guys. I'm so excited right now. I cannot even feel my cheeks. Like, I'm over here cheesing so hard. But thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're birthday buddies. That's, something we've always had in common since we met each other about 4 years ago. So we were having this conversation before the podcast started, just that Ebony said she's never met anyone that has her birthday, but I have literally one sibling with my birthday and another sibling that's the day before. So I'm not used to that. It's strange to me.
You know what? And an even crazier fact is that my sister and my uncle share a birthday, and then my other sister and my aunt share a birthday, and I share a birthday with no one but you.
Yeah. I mean, it's October is a busy month for birthdays. I feel like all my friends' birthdays are in October. I mean, maybe it's just because my birthday's in October. I think I'm like, everyone's birthdays right now. But anyway, I'm happy to have you here. It's been a few years since we actually got to sit down and hang out, partially because of COVID, partially just because you were still in school. We went to Auburn together. We were theater majors, and my senior year was your freshman year, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I remember really kind of knowing you from was that we were in a Civil War Christmas together.
Oh my God.
I know it's a weird thing to throw back and remember, but because it feels like so long ago.
It does. It feels like I was just a young bean on the stage. Yeah. I had not sprouted yet, and it was my first semester, and I was really nervous to be around people who were older than me and more experienced than I was. But Civil War Christmas will literally go down in history for me as one of the best shows that I've ever been in. It was just so much fun.
Do you remember, though, whenever you first got cast in it, if you were like me, you felt it didn't feel like other musicals or plays because it was very new and so we didn't really know the music. It was strange because a lot of musicals you could look up a soundtrack. That one didn't have a soundtrack out. It wasn't very popular. It had some actors who were in its original productions that were I believe Brian Tyree Henry was in the original production either in New York. So my point is there were some well-known actors in when it first came out, but for us when we were looking into it as a play, I remember all of us being kind of are we supposed to be excited about this? Because it's a very strange musical. But that was a lot of fun. It was a great first experience to get to know you. And how was that for you as a freshman being, like you said, you were around all these older people, but did it feel like you were kind of thrown into everything or?
I actually was very glad to be thrown into it. I am the kind of person that I get antsy mm-hmm. and anxious when I'm not doing something. And I knew I just got to college and I was like, I already want to do it. I already want to do everything. I want to be in everything, mm-hmm. Which, that kind of bit me as I keep going down. I'm just in a show all the time. But when I'm not in a show, I get antsy. So when I first got there, I was really glad to be in a show, starting rehearsal. I'll never forget. We started rehearsal October 2nd mm-hmm. For that show. And I was just itching. I was like, I want to get in here and meet people. Because at that point, I had really no friends in the theater mm-hmm. up until, Civil War Christmas. And so that was around the time I started making friends and really learning everyone's names and learning the professors and mm-hmm. just really getting into it. So I liked it. I loved it.
Well, sorry, but before we go any further, because I meant to mention this, before we kind of talk about how we met and kind of going through your history. Do you want to promote anything like your social media or music that you have out or anything coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can follow me on Instagram at Ebony Strong _. I post pictures on there. Instagram is kind of the Met Gala. But I post a lot more often on TikTok, and you can follow me there at ebony.strong and keep up with me there. Stream Cities by Ebony Strong on all platforms. Cities by Ebony Strong. I'm gonna say that one more time. We got a video coming for that soon. I've been working with more producers, been in the studio more. So definitely follow me on everything, just to keep up with me, acting wise, music wise, everything. So yeah.
That's awesome. I don't think I follow you on TikTok. What is your content? Like, do you?
Oh,
I mean, do you do like funny stuff or?
I think I pretty much do a little bit of everything on TikTok. I think that my TikTok is most like what Finsta used to be. You remember when Finsta was really popular?
Yeah.
My TikTok has kind of like just been that for me. It started off as, just me wanting to just, be out on social media and kind of record what I'm doing. But when I did Legally Blonde, my TikTok kind of blew up. Nice. Like I went viral.
That's awesome.
And so it led me to do more things that had to do with music theater, singing, and vlogs, what I do every day, little funny videos. TikTok is just, you can do anything on there. So I pretty much do.
Well, I was just curious because, some people find like a specific lane, but I appreciate the ones that are, like you said, a little bit of everything. And it is interesting that TikTok, you can find an audience on there that you never found on other social media platforms. I've noticed like our good friend Jackie Whiting, his band Zix, like they have a TikTok, and sometimes they've had ones that blow up and go viral, and it's kind of crazy because it's like the one platform where you can like find new people who have no connection to you. Well, I mean, Instagram is becoming like that a little bit with Reels, because now with Reels, I've noticed when I post a Reel, I don't get as many people liking it who are my current followers, but I get new followers who come in, and that's kind of so. Anyway, I was just curious about your TikTok. I'll have to go follow you. Yeah.
No. TikTok is strange like that, because I think I was talking to a friend the other day about how social media has hit another transition point. Yeah. Because up until right before TikTok, social media was exclusively for people who knew you and people you knew, and most mutual friends kind of through that aspect. And then there were the people who were like influencers, and there was a kind of separation between influencers and regular people on social media. But now TikTok, everybody is just in there. Like everybody goes viral. I think I see countless people on TikTok every single day, and it really is a great way to connect with others.
What's strange about it though is it is unpredictable, because I've had TikToks that I think what they do is when you first, at least this is my experience, when you first get on TikTok, they give you a few, like you get a lot of views at first, and then they make you addicted, and it's like gambling where you're like, I want to keep winning. Because like my first few TikToks got like several thousand views, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I've never gotten, and now it's like, I'm lucky if I got like 100, so it definitely finds a point real quick where it's like, it just stops.
Yeah, it was weird. I had almost the opposite experience. I was ready to give up, because I was like, I want to be on TikTok. And this was when quarantine happened. Yeah. So there was nothing to do but be on TikTok. And I was like, I want to blow up on TikTok. My TikToks would get like 16 views. Yeah. I am not kidding. Like if I got 100 views on TikTok, I would scream. And I was so ready to give up by the time that the one that went viral, I was like, wait, is this for real? Is this serious? Like there's no way this is happening. But yes.
I'm not sure how the algorithm works, but I do feel like on TikTok, at least in my scrolling, they give people without a lot of views and likes though a chance, because I've had times where a really hilarious video pops up and it only has like 5 likes. And I'm like, how is this not viral? So like, I think sometimes it's like you kind of catch things. And if you notice, people comment on there and they'll be like, oh, I was here first before, you know, and because they're just hoping it'll go viral. I don't know what that gets them, but anyway, enough talk about that. Anything else you wanted to promote? I think that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Well, then let's go to like into the questions. I have some good, some good questions for you. I'm excited to get to know you more. Well, first off, my question I ask everybody at the beginning of every podcast, or I try to, I sometimes get a little absent-minded, but I like to know, where are you from and how did you get started in music? For you, it's mainly singing and vocal performance, right? Mm-hmm. So how did you get started singing?
Well, I'm from Atlanta. I'm native to this city, born and raised here. I did go to Alabama. I went to Auburn for college, but I came back because this is just like my heart and home, and like the musical culture of Atlanta is so rich and intense that like you almost can't fight it. And I knew from a very young age, I was like, I just want to be on TV. Like, I want to be famous. I want to be on TV. Yeah. Like, that was my thing. And I, tried to slip into different avenues. But when I got to singing, I was like, oh, I want to sing. Like, I really want to sing. And I always tell this funny story because I actually could not sing. I was not a good singer. I was not a good singer. And I asked my mom one day, I said, can I sing? Like, what do you think? And she was like, sorry, I love you, but no. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna show her. And I just started listening to, people, the singers that I like, and trying to imitate them. I think I've always had a really good ear, which is a good thing. And, I taught myself how to sing. By the time I was like 12 or 13, I was starting to get pretty good. Mm-hmm. Then when I got to high school is when I was in my like first musical. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is addicting, because I did like singing competitions. I did like the Atlanta Apollo. Mm-hmm. I did, there was like a McDonald's, like the gift competition. That was a statewide thing. And I was like, there is too much pressure on me to compete with other just vocalists, because everybody out here is good, but I'm a better performer. You know what I'm saying? And my singing is great. Don't get me wrong, but I really like performing. Yeah. And that's what led me to theater, and music theater together just combines all of that.
I love watching actors, though, in musicals who, like you said, sometimes you can tell the people on stage who were told their entire life, you have a beautiful voice, because they just kind of like carry themselves that way. And then you can tell the people who maybe had to obviously I think your voice is beautiful. But what I'm saying is, according to what you're telling me, you felt like your passion and your performance were enough to kind of like put you on the par with other people who maybe were able to just not put as much, I guess, into that performance, and they could just kind of. But like I said, I would much rather watch someone like you who is trying to create a whole character, because musical theater to me is not very interesting when someone's just a good singer, and you can tell those people.
Yeah.
Like, have you, I've only seen like one Broadway show ever, but I've heard things about Broadway shows where someone who is like a pop singer, like, I'm not going to pick on anyone, and because I'm just using it as an example, like Ariana Grande, for example. She's like, she was in like the Hairspray musical, but she's mainly known as like an R&B singer. And then her being in a musical, I think there are people who probably would go, I don't think she's that great of an actress, but, great singer. And anyway, I appreciate actresses and actors like you who are willing to make it an entire performance and not just about the vocals.
Yeah, and when you think about it, the best pop stars, in my opinion, are theater people, are actors, because I always use Lady Gaga as an example because she's breathtaking. She's show-stopping. Mm-hmm. And even Beyonce and people like Beyonce and Michael Jackson, is that they were performers to their nature. Like, you can't deny that Beyonce probably is one of the best singers that have ever walked this earth.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, she's a performer. And that's what makes her interesting, because I can list singers that, in my opinion, who I think sing better than Beyonce, but they're not about to outperform her. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. And one of my favorite singers is, I love Erykah Badu, who I don't think she directly has a theatrical background, but she has like a theatrical, the way she performs and everything, she is creating characters. They're not just But I also love Janelle Monáe, who does have a musical theater background.
Yes.
And she's a great actress too. She's just like I don't know what you even call it, like a quadruple threat, basically, because I'm like, she can do everything. She's like someone I look up to.
Absolutely. She's amazing.
Yeah. I really liked her. I mean, I liked her in everything, but I really liked her in Moonlight. She was great in that. And just in general, like, her music strikes several, like, it's like several cross sections of like things I like, because a lot of it's very like soulful and poppy, but in like a retro kind of way. Like, it doesn't sound like, it might use modern instruments, but to me it doesn't sound like Beyonce, or like she has some kind of quality about her music that makes her sound like she's from the 70s or something.
It's a lot. She's jazzy too, is the thing. Is like she uses like a jazz kind of pop thing. Mm-hmm. And one thing I love about Janelle Monáe is like, I don't know really where she's from. I want to say she's from here because because her music has been so popular here ever since I was growing up. Like she had strong ties and connections with Outkast and Erykah Badu, and like, she's just had a heavy influence here in Atlanta, and I love her.
I didn't even think about it, but I'm just only talking about Atlanta singers so far. But either way, I mean, I think to that point, Atlanta, I've only lived here, you just kind of like, to relate a little bit, you've lived here your whole life pretty much, except for the years you went to college. I lived in Auburn, Opelika area my whole life pretty much, except for when I moved here. This is the biggest city I've ever lived in. And I love it because I'm constantly, there are the big names that you can list that are from Atlanta, like you said, like Outkast, and like we've said, Erykah Badu, Janelle Monáe, all these wonderful singers, rappers, artists, actors of all kinds. But even just on a smaller scale, the underground scene here is great. I have discovered so many artists here who maybe only have 1,000 followers on Instagram, but they are like, and that goes for every genre. Like it's so interesting too, because Atlanta is a cross section of, there is a lot of hip hop here and a lot of really great like R&B and soul music. But then there's also, Atlanta is like the LGBTQ, hub of the South. Yes. And I was going to say, like, there's a rapper, I can't remember his name. I feel really bad about this, but like, there's a rapper that I remember discovering recently because a videographer that I follow made a music video for him. And it's kind of an anomaly to think of someone making like hip hop music that's all about being gay, or that's all about like things that, because that in most areas is just not like something that people rap about. But in Atlanta, that you can be a popular artist and make music like that, or it's just really cool. It's very different than a lot of other cities in that way. I don't know. Do you have anything to speak on with that?
Yes, like, I think one thing that's really cool about the underground music and artistry here in Atlanta is that when it comes to other cities, they kind of tend to stick to what they know, and they kind of follow that pattern, which you can be successful that way, and there's great music out there like that. But Atlanta underground artists like to cross genres a lot, and they like to mix it up, and you might have something that's hip hop, but it's also rock, like, and it has elements of R&B and like acoustic guitar. It just mixes up so much of different genres, and you really can get into that. And that's one thing that I'm really passionate about is when I'm out here and I'm looking for producers and people to work with, is that I want to make it known that I don't want to just follow the exact pattern that the artists before me have followed. I want to create cross genres. I want to be able to rap about, rap and sing, or, it's just a lot of different things that you can do.
And until you said that, I didn't really think about it, but like my favorite Atlanta band is a band that created their own genre because they didn't know how to define their music. And like, so it really is crazy because like so many people here really do that. And yeah, I don't know how else to put it. Like, I really have just enjoyed living here for that reason. Well then, okay, sorry, I'm trying to figure out like the best way to transition into the next part of the conversation. I mean, generally I want to talk about, okay, actually that's a good point. Here, let's go there then. Cities, because that is the main music project that you've put out, and that people can listen to right now and get an idea of like your music and where it's going to be going. I really like cities for a lot of reasons, because kind of what you're talking about, like mixing genres. When you first hear that song, I like to listen to it with headphones or on like I don't really listen to that song on my phone that much, just because I like the entire production quality to it. I really like that it does feel like it's an R&B song, but then it has like some hip hop drums to it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know that's like a common kind of thing people are kind of leaning into now, but will you go through with me a little bit about like the composition process? Or I think what I'm interested in, sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place to talk about this song, good. But what I'm interested in with Cities is, did you write the lyrics first? And then, like, was it a lyrical idea first, or was it like you came up with some melodies? Because the song itself, the lyrics, I'm assuming, are about a real thing that happened.
Yeah, it is. And the thing, when I'm writing music, Cities was actually the first song that I actually sat down. I got the beat. I listened to the beat. And whenever I'm writing, I let the beat kind of influence the story. Absolutely. Because music on its own will tell its own story. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, if you're going to tell a story on top of a music that doesn't match up, it has to be on purpose. It needs to be a statement. I learned that from music theater as well, because the music could be lying to you, or you could be lying and the music could be telling the truth. So I listened to that beat and I let it influence my thoughts, and like the experiences that I've been through kind of just came out in the words. And so I kind of did it that way, because when I was listening to the beat, it kind of felt like I was riding through the city of Atlanta. Like I hadn't been home in a while, and it just captured that essence of like the nightlife in Atlanta, riding, up 75, heading north, and you see like all the lights and everything. And it's just a vibe. It's just a vibe. And I wanted to capture that vibe, but I didn't want to make it about, oh, I love my city, I love Atlanta, because it has that vibe, but that's not what the story of the music is telling. Really. It just tells a story of two people who can't really seem to get on the same page. At one moment you're really into this and I'm not, and then it switches. I'm really into it and you're not. And it just keeps going around and around and around. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that situation.
I think what I liked about the lyrics were that they were specific enough but they were also general. It was vague. So like, you had specific details like get in the elevator, press 4, things like that. But at the same time, it didn't feel like a song where, it's like someone's literally calling someone out by name or something. There's some songs where people are way too specific and you're like, I think I know, who you're talking about.
I know what this is about.
Yeah. But I like that when songs are specific enough to be interesting, but they're general enough to where people can relate to them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you made there. I'm trying to think of the best way to like phrase my next kind of question about the song. How do you think that song is going to influence the rest, like next music that you make? Do you think that something else that you make is going to be very, very similar to that? Or do you think that you're kind of moving? I don't know. I mean, it's fine if that question's weird and vague, but
no, it's not. I think that one thing, because I'm still fairly new to writing and creating music, like I feel like I have a really good discography of songs that I just haven't released yet. Absolutely. Because I do want to be intentional with the kind of music that I'm putting out. I want to tell a specific story that represents me very well. So I think Cities is a good, representation to like the music I kind of like to hear. And I always tell myself, like, my brain is going to write what it writes. I can't force my brain to produce something that is not authentic to me and my story. And so I think that anything I release, Cities included, you'll get a good look at who I am and what I'm about and what I like, because like I said, I'm intentional about what I put out. And I just think, I'm heavy on lyrics. Mm-hmm. I like lyrics with, meaning behind them, meaning to me. I'm not really good at just throwing lyrics out there. It takes me a while to sit down and figure out what this story is. Mm-hmm. I just feel like I'm a storyteller, and throughout different genres, that is something that I'm adamant about doing is, leaning into a lot of different genres and kind of mixing up to create my own style.
Absolutely.
But that lyric, my way of writing will probably stay the same. Writing about different things, but definitely vague enough to where people can relate to it, but specific enough for me to like tell a story that's like, oh, this is she's storytelling.
Yeah. Do you think that desire comes from, or your inclination to be a storyteller comes from your musical theater background?
I think it does. Mm-hmm. I think it does because I didn't start writing music until I was in college. After, I went through my whole phase. It's like, oh, I want to be a performer. I want to do theater. And, I learned all about, like I said, how music without words tells its own story. And I really got into that with music theater, like feeling the music. Like I always talk about Sweeney Todd is a good one to listen to without any words. Just hearing the music, you can pretty much tell what the story is just from the music. Yeah. And that made me really want to get into writing because it just makes I get a visceral feeling when I listen to music, and I want to be able to create that feeling for other people and, storytelling and just making it a whole a story. I can't think of any other word to say, but telling a story.
I totally understand. And I like it too when music, kind of like what I already said about cities, that can tell a story in a way that is specific and general enough, but at the same time, is not so specific that you're getting bogged down with all the details and you're like, oh wait, this is hard to follow. It's kind of like, I'm sure you've listened to artists where they try to tell, I love Kendrick Lamar and rap is a whole different thing, but there's times where you listen to a Kendrick Lamar song and it's 7 minutes long and it's very, very intricate to the point where, and that's a different thing. But anyway.
I definitely think, I always say there's a difference between easy listening, and good music is a giant umbrella, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And easy listening can fall under that umbrella, and complexities can also fall under the good music umbrella, because I love Frank Ocean to death, but I wouldn't call Frank Ocean an easy listening artist. That's something that he's an artist that you sit down and you listen, you listen to.
And cry.
and cry and feel it and just fade away and just float away in his music.
Well, I totally understand that. And I think that when I was really young, I got, for some reason, people call me a music snob. And I'm not saying that was for some reason. I know why they did. I was kind of a music snob because for some reason I had it in my head, music has to be serious. And music has to, and when I say serious, I meant it has to tell a story and it has to be complex and I didn't like just listening to goofy music for a few years. I don't know why. And then I all of a sudden got back into it and I am a lot happier now. Yeah. It's the same thing with any kind of art. I used to be the same way about movies. You think, oh, well, if it's not being nominated for Academy Awards, it's not that great or something. And then you're like, no, that's stupid. Sometimes you just want to watch a dumb movie,
Yeah, exactly. I feel that. That's why, and people it's a lot more popular now, but when trap music first started, and I like to think of trap music as a subgenre of hip hop and rap. It's not the same thing. Mm-hmm. But when trap music first started getting popular, growing up in Atlanta, we get an early wave on that stuff. A lot of people were like, oh no, he's just mumble rapping. He just but if you just listen to the music and really get into the music, it's feel good music. You can't help but bob your head and dance. It's telling its own story without even knowing what the person is saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it.
That's what's so strange to me about hip hop in general is that I feel like in the 90s, it was easy for parents to be to generalize about it and say, oh, well, that music sounds all like this. Now hip hop literally encompasses, like you said, trap. There's gospel hip hop. There's so many different types that it doesn't feel like it used to be, where when I was in middle school, most parents were just oh, well, it all has curse words in it and stuff. And it kind of did at the time. But now there's all kinds.
Yeah, you got artists like Rico Nasty and Other artists who really lean into like the rock side of hip hop. Like I'm rapping, but you can tell by the instruments in this, like you get some heavy stuff in there. It's not just hip hop. There's so many subgenres. And I think all music kind of does that. That's how we get new genres of stuff. Everything comes from something and like you mix things together and you create something new. So hip hop has provided us with such a great gift, you know, an entire new realm of music that can be created from just that one genre. So absolutely.
I mean, in college, I'm sure you learned a little bit about, or at Auburn, postmodernism. And hip hop is the best example of postmodernism, in my opinion, just because it literally is taking, you know, bits of someone else's song from the past and remaking it into something new. But by this point, what's crazy to me is you'll hear artists in brand new styles of hip hop, like mumble rap, for example, and they're not directly always like sampling from like an old hip hop song, but they will like, I don't know what you call it. It's kind of like they'll use a cadence from like an old song. Like you'll hear people, you know, do something from like Cult 45 by Afro Man. Like they use one little bit of the rhythm for a second, and like hip hop's, you know, that's like throughout it. Actually, the best example of a popular song right now is that song by Future, the Too Sexy song, because that it's literally that song from like the 90s. That was like that song I remember was like a joke. And, you know, it was not considered like you know, it would play in movies when some character was like at a strip club or something, but now it's a popular song by Future.
And people love it. People love that song. So I definitely get you.
But that's what's crazy is that like sometimes all it takes is someone to reach into the past, find something that people don't think is relevant to now, and then make it relevant. Like same thing with even songs like, this is like 10 years old, but like 6 Foot 7 Foot by Lil Wayne sampled like that like Banana Boat song or
from
something.
Beetlejuice, yeah.
From I think the original song was from like the 40s or something. So like it's crazy that someone can find that little thing and then make it into a completely new song that's on the radio.
And that's super popular with a lot of rappers, especially the ones who are popular now, because you know, the people who've done the work growing up in the early 2000s and the 90s, they love a good sample. Like if you think about Jay-Z, if you think about Lil Wayne, if you think about Drake, if you think about all of these rappers who have been in the game, who have had skin in the game for so long, they love a sample. Because that's like the original flavor, or like, when you used to hear a good rap song, you heard that good sample, you were like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I think that people are starting to lean into sampling other genres of music as a form of saying like, oh, this is what's popular now. But as far as like the people who are really popular and have been popular, they love a good sample.
Oh yeah, for sure. Do you actually we're going to transition kind of back into, you know, talking about your musical theater a little bit, background. Mm-hmm. The most recent show you were in was Legally Blonde, correct? Mm-hmm. I want to kind of know about that because I haven't talked to you about it. I unfortunately didn't get to see the show or anything, but tell me about like the production, if there was anything, you know, unique or that you really liked about it. I just want to know about Legally Blonde.
Yeah, no, that was a whirlwind moment for me, just because, just to say, I was cast to play Elle Woods in Legally Blonde, and that was like life-changing for me, because of obviously what I look like and what my body is like and how people perceive me. It was like it just seemed out of this world to people and to myself at first that I would be able to play Elle Woods, but it taught me an important lesson about myself and the type of performer that I am. And this is something that I think is really important to learn and to teach people in theater, is that it's not just always about the message that your body is sending to the audience. Yes. And we took, we learned that in school. We took that body theater history class, and the kind of message that just having a body on stage sends, their race, their skin tone, their body type, their hair type, it all sends a message, but it doesn't have to be only that message. This was August of 2021 when I got the role. And when I auditioned, I was so convinced that I was going to be in the ensemble. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to be like the Courtney, take your break lady. You know, I was going to be like one of those. I was so convinced. And when they called me and offered me the part, I screamed, and I had to sit down and talk with myself about, okay, Ebony, you can't be worried about how people are going to perceive you. You can't be worried about how people are going to take this. Your job is to get up on stage, act, perform, and give them a good show. Because Elle Woods does not have to be white or skinny. She just has to be blonde. And I think I got an interesting opportunity to showcase a different set of my talents. You know, I think that a lot of people in theater only like to see the trauma in Black artists and, you know, Black writers and stuff. They want to highlight this trauma, and it started as a way to educate the public, but I think we're past that point now. I think we're past that. I think we all know, you know, I think you can never educate someone enough, but it should be taught in schools, not necessarily just, oh, here's another play about a slave. It's, you know, it's a little tired. I think it'll be more beneficial to today's era, you know, to today's time, to see, you know, Black people just, you know, just be normal.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, I've heard that from, honestly, other Black actors, Black entertainers of all kinds, and it's not that they're saying we're tired of, but it's like, there was a good, it seems like 10 or 20 year period or longer where the only roles were like, you're going to play MLK, or you're going to play, you know, Harriet Tubman. I mean, that Harriet Tubman movie just came out like last year.
Literally, I was like, why do we need don't get me wrong, I love Cynthia Erivo, and I think that is beautiful, but why do we need that? There are so many important stories to tell that are not about highlighting our trauma. Because if you think about what your job is, and as an actor, having to, for me, we were just talking about Civil War Christmas, and it was fun, but having to go into myself and play a slave at the age of 19 is traumatic, because you realize that you're connected to your ancestors in that way. Like you feel that stuff. And though you might not be where they are, as an actor, that's kind of all that's available for you is to just keep reliving this trauma, the traumatic experiences of your ancestors. You know, even like August Wilson, he didn't really write about slaves, but his stories are still very traumatic, and they're important to be told, very much so. But I think we can transition into a wave that is about more than that. And that's what I liked so much about Legally Blonde, is that when they said, you know, lines that were like, oh, honey, you're a genetic lotto win. You know, originally that's like, oh my gosh, like, okay. Well, I had to realize like, oh, well, she was saying that because this was a blonde haired, very white girl. She's a genetic lotto win. It's like, what does that mean for me?
Yeah.
It's like, does that mean that I'm not a genetic lotto win? No, I think that me playing that role proves that being a genetic lotto win, or being beautiful, or being the main character without trauma and just fun and life and joy, you can be a Black woman and do that, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was honestly interested whenever I saw that you were cast as Elle Woods, and it honestly had nothing to do with like, I think it would be dumb for anybody to not cast someone on body type. I think for me, it was just because I was like, I could tell when I saw that casting, this is a theater company and a director who actually care to make something new. Mm-hmm. Because to me, it is tired when the only people who are ever cast as Elle Woods at that role specifically are, you know, petite, blonde white women, and it probably blue eyes. You know, it's always kind of the same, and that goes for a lot of roles. And you know, this is a complex conversation that I guess I don't, you know, have a lot to weigh in on. You know, because like, I mean, other than me saying I agree with you, I feel like for a lot of people in general, they want to see Black characters be just normal characters. Mm-hmm. Because like, even on TV, some of my favorite shows right now are very much so in a different way, kind of highlighting, like I love Atlanta, which I've been watching it's kind of funny, Atlanta and Woke. I don't know if you watch Woke.
No, I haven't seen Woke, but I've seen Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Atlanta and Woke are different. They have a different tone. Woke is a lot more like lighthearted, but I've been watching them at the same time, and they both tackle similar topics. It's pretty much just about how, PC culture can sometimes turn on itself, and it's like there's white people who think that they're so PC, but then they're actually not, or they're so an ally or anything. But anyway, my point being, there's a lot of TV now that seems to be calling that out specifically, and it's like they're taking not the approach of let's show you how bad slavery was. It's more like we're gonna make fun of, because Atlanta's making fun of a lot of things with race, and with it for Atlanta specifically. I think it makes fun of a lot of things that people outside of a city like Atlanta might not get. But anyway, I think this is just me adding my 2 cents in, saying that, it's I hope that we're in a transition period in entertainment, in music, and in film, that we're going to get to that point where it's not something that we're constantly talking about.
Yeah,
where we're happy that, oh my God, there was the first gay kiss in this commercial, or there's the first, or the first, black woman in this TV show. It's like, I really just want to get to the point where it's just like normal, but it's hard because you have to get past all that first. And so anyway.
And I think it's something to say kind of what we were talking about with how having a body on a stage in general sends a certain message. It's almost like writers, I get the struggle, because as a black woman, as a black person, it's not something that you can ignore. It's not something that you can just pretend like it's not happening. And that's what I like about Atlanta, is that it finds an interesting way to include that culture without it being so traumatic. I cannot think of one play, and maybe I haven't read enough, but I can't think of one play or musical that features a black woman, someone who's and not just ambiguously black, but a black woman that's not highlighting her traumatic experience, or, her abuse or her ancestry or something like that. I can't think of one. And that is crazy to me. And we're living in 2022.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of work that theater has to do. I think that people like to think that theater is such a liberal art, but we're still so far behind.
It's crazy because I thought that too. I for years would thought, oh well, all the people that I'm going to encounter in theater. For some reason I fooled myself into thinking that was the same way for the film industry. Oh no, the film industry can be very, very conservative, and it's not that being conservative is not bad by itself, but some of the individual things under being conservative, are the problems. So.
Yeah. And I think that with both sides. I think, with being liberal or being conservative, there are things under there that's just like, it's the mark,
Exactly. And I do think that most of America is somewhere in the middle. However, I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. But I think when it comes to entertainment, something that we're both kind of like agreeing on is that it feels like TV and film are kind of, in theater, they're, like you said, missing the mark on exactly hitting that spot of being inclusive and telling, making sure people understand history, making sure people, hear all the stories they need to hear, but also at the same time, finding a way to make life kind of seem normal and make life seem lighthearted. Because like you said, like life is not just all about like the negative experiences. It's not all about complex, really, like I said earlier, I used to think music and entertainment should all be really serious. You can have fun, you can tell a story. That's one thing I like about Atlanta, actually, is that he tells stories that are awkward and are hard topics to talk about, makes them funny. Like, there's all sorts of examples in that show. But
yeah, that's a good show.
Yeah.
You gotta watch that one.
It's like one of the few shows that I feel like can go away for like 2 or 3 years and come back and actually will do well. Like, and actually, that's a good point. I'll kind of use this to transition into talking about some other things, asking some other questions. I would consider you, because all the conversation we've had about you being like an actress and being a singer, being interested in doing more than just musical theater. You're trying to work in multiple mediums. I would consider you what I would, like a multi-hyphenate, like someone who's like a actor, singer, like that kind of thing. And I have a lot of respect for people like you that can perform and write and can think outside of just like a one medium like theater or like R&B and, you know, popular music. And the reason I bring all that up is because, you know, I was thinking about Atlanta. I was thinking about Donald Glover. I have a lot of respect for multi-hyphenate people because I feel like in today's world, and I want to know your thoughts on this, I don't think that you can just be, to me, a triple threat these days is not someone who can sing and dance and act. It's someone who can be an actor, a director, a writer. It's like someone who can, you know, work in multiple ways or in multiple fields. So I kind of want to know your thoughts on that.
I agree. I think that the term triple threat will always kind of signal singer, actor, dancer to people.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't think that that's really what it is. And that's really, it holds the same weight as it does, because just being able to sing and dance and act, that really falls all under one umbrella now. If you want to be really, really successful, even just as a singer or a performer, you kind of need to be able to sing, dance, and act as one thing. So then you get into being able to knowing how to work a camera or knowing how to navigate social media. That is a huge thing that is not easy. You know, being able to navigate social media, being able to work a camera, being able to, you know, be on the stage, have good people skills, you know.
Doing wardrobe, for example. Like, I've known people who were like singers and they, you know, were not necessarily my favorite singer, but they were really good at doing their own wardrobe and making themselves look wonderful for every performance. So I was like, even if I don't love your music, my point is, it's so weird to me to think back on people in the past who were able to just be like a great singer and they didn't have to worry about, you know, promoting themselves on social media or, you know, writing their own stuff or starting their own podcast or something. Now you have to do that stuff.
You have to. Yeah. And that's something that I think I thank God every day for this, because I do have the ambition to do that. I don't want to just be, singer, actor, dancer. I am, you know, starting my YouTube. I didn't promote that earlier, but my first YouTube will be dropping. So subscribe to Ebony Strong on YouTube. But having the ambition and the drive to want to do YouTube, to want to tackle every social media. Like, I just, you know, I want to be everywhere. And I think a lot of people have created this, it's popular now to look down on people who want to be seen. I think it's really popular when I want to be subdued and I want to try, but not really try. It's almost looked down upon if you really want to try and you really want to be out here and you want to be an influencer, even though secretly behind the mask, that is what a lot of people want to do, and they just want to hide it. But I don't want to be that person. I kind of want to I just want to go at everything 100,000%, kind of how I do with my music, how I do with, you know, how I want to be a performer and everything. I want to be multifaceted for sure.
I think that is the best. That's the only way that you can kind of survive, because we kind of, you know, talked about this. Like, I have a lot of respect for the people that we went to school with who really dove into just doing theater, because, I mean, that's what we got our degree in. But at the same time, I learned within the first year after graduating with a theater degree, that wasn't going to cut it. And what I mean is, like, it was either, for me, it was like go to grad school and, you know, basically become a professor was one of my options, or it was like, you know, work for free in theater for years until maybe you're able to like make ends meet barely. And that's hard. I mean, so to me, it's just, you really can't put all the eggs in one basket. You have to look into other skills. I mean, I pretty much took it as, let me learn how to edit video, like you said. And that has become my main full-time thing now. So sometimes even you start off with one thing, like a piece of art that you love, and then you find out, I've known people who started off as singers. They ended up loving production more, and they wanted to, you know, engineer and be people's producer. Like, they didn't really like singing as much anymore because they just loved doing that. But anyway, I just want to know kind of like your thoughts on it. Do you have any favorite people that come to mind when I say like multi-hyphenate, like people who are kind of like masters in multiple areas? Because I can name a few, but...
Oh my goodness. I don't know. The only person I thought of was Doja Cat. And I think that's just because I was thinking of her before.
No. I
mean, she knows how to really play to the masses. And I think that is a talent on its own. Of course, she can sing and she can rap and she can dance and she's a great performer, but her visuals, her ideas, like the things that come from her mind, her social media presence and her ability to just kind of nestle into people's hearts. I don't know. I think that's a talent on its own.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to
You're fine. So one of I love Jordan Peele. He just because what I love about him is that he is a great performer and a really good writer, but his stuff also goes all over the place because it can go from being hilarious to being creepy as hell. And so I love that. He's one. I mean, I love Tyler the Creator because he's kind of like that he's like a designer, rapper, singer, producer, I mean, there's a lot of musicians who are like that, it seems. I mean, I'm always amazed when I meet somebody who is can play any instrument. I'm sure you've met those people. I'm always jealous of people who I know are already good. Because I'm a drummer and I always think I have that over people where people are really good guitar and piano player or something. And then I'll be like, oh, they probably can't play drums. And then they sit down the drum set and they kill it. And I'm like, oh man, they can play my instrument too.
They can do everything. What can't you do? No,
Yeah.
I feel that. I love people who can play all instruments because I feel match with those people well because I have a lot going on in my mind. I can hear instruments and I can hear like I said, I've always had a really good ear. And a person who can just sit down and really play out what I'm thinking on any instrument. Okay, I want guitar here, or I want drums here, or I want piano here, and they can do it. I'm so impressed right now.
Or people who can play by ear, that blows my mind. Or, I mean, I think it's even, because to me, singing by ear is a little bit easier, in my opinion, just because everybody has the experience of walking around your everyday life. You hear a song, you're trying to sing along with it, But being able to hear someone playing a guitar part and then you're like, that's what, how did you do that? That blows my mind because drums to me is like singing. It's really easy because you can just listen to it and go, oh, they hit that drum. But with a guitar and with piano, any instrument, it just blows my mind. But,
yeah, absolutely. And growing up in the church, that's one thing I think I've realized is that a lot of people who play in the church are like that. They kind of learn by listening and they definitely have the technique, but they're able to follow anything. If a pastor or a singer goes to a different spot, the whole band has gone to a different spot and then they're just real musicians. That's so impressive to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I think we're probably going to wrap up the conversation around right here, but I wanted to ask you one more time if you wanted to promote anything like your social media, music, anything like that.
Absolutely. I think, definitely follow me on Instagram at Ebony Strong _ on Instagram, Ebony Strong _ EBONYSTRONG _ I mostly post all of my updates on there, new song dropping, new YouTube coming out. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ebony Strong. Follow me on TikTok at ebony.strong. Pretty much everything is my name. So you'll be able to find that. Be on the lookout for the Cities music video and go stream Cities on all platforms. Show me some love. I always appreciate it. Send me a DM, send me a message, anything like that. I love talking to people. So, yeah.
I just love talking. Anyway, okay, well, you can follow us at PsychoActivision we're pretty much just only on Instagram, but PsychoActivision Presents is on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts for free or paid. And this has been a really fun conversation. I feel like it's been a long time coming because we haven't seen each other in a long time. But thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm about to be your competition because now I want to start a podcast.
Awesome. I'm happy that we could inspire you. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Of course.